South Korea is a living example of how communism doesn't work. In the last few weeks, I don't know if you guys read the news about the trash war. The North Koreans thought, because when you have a communist country, your biggest export is trash. It's trash art, it's trash people, it's trash ideas, and now they took it upon themselves and took it a step further and to attack one of the greatest countries of the last century, that is South Korea. It's absolutely amazing. You can see the balloons here. They loaded those balloons with trash and send them on their way to Korea. So basically, this is a graphic depiction of what communist countries do. They just send trash everywhere, all over the world, and that's what it is. Now, I thought it was a fun story. I was actually going to cover it next time because I thought South Korea, and I still think they're a very serious country. I thought they were going to, retaliate, and they did. And we have the next video of what they did that I think is genius. It's absolutely genius. So if you see these trucks, the things that are on top of the trucks are speakers, all right? So they brought all these trucks to the DMC, and they're blasting K-pop
I love it.
towards North Korea. Which is actually genius. And jokes aside, they're becoming a force of nature when it comes to cultural matters, music-wise, dramas, movies, fashion. So they're actually a force to reckon with. Just to put it in perspective, I think it was back in the year 2000, South Korea had the same GDP as Chile. And now is like one of the top GDP countries in the world. So they have invested in their people. They have invested in technology. And
so they're antagonizing Kim Jong-un.
they're antagonizing Kim Jong-un.
And
Started it.
But he doesn't seem okay. If you see the reports, sometimes they're like, "Oh, look, North Korea's got these intercontinental ballistic missiles." But then other times you see them during like parades where the weapons are allegedly made out of cardboard. So you never really know what you're gonna get with North Korea. Is it smart to antagonize a guy who may or may not have weapons of mass destruction or weapons made out of cardboard?
Well, until we got to the speakers with K-pop music, it was all fun and games.
Okay. Is that going to be what starts World War III?
Like,
K-pop?
I was thinking about this yesterday when I was writing it. I was thinking about the story of Franz Ferdinand, that it's an amazing story, how they tried to assassinate him, and by luck...
Great band, by the way. Go ahead.
Great band.
Yes.
Great band. He's the Archduke of Austria, right? Mm-hmm. Or was?
Austria-Hungary.
Yeah. So I was like, that's a great origin story for the First World War. And now we're going to have the origin story of people throwing trash at each other and then playing K-pop to the other side. That said, yesterday there was a little bit of a firefight. It wasn't a firefight. They exchanged shots because by mistake, some troops they moved through from the North Korean border to the South Korean border, and they were shot at. I'm not sure. We don't have the information if everyone is okay, but and this is the raising tensions that are happening in the Korean peninsula. Most people call the Korean War the Forgotten War. It was one of America's bloodiest war, one of the most intense wars we ever been a part of. One of the last meaningful wars that America participated in. And they actually liberated our country. And we're, as I said, we're seeing a living example. Obviously, Rocket Man that is there, he's a ladies' man, weighed in the situation. And he is actually shifting away from the truce between North and South Korea. And he said that this can only go up, in intensity. They have China and Russia buying from them and backing them up. And this is fun and games now, and can take a really nasty turn real quick. But South Koreans, they shouldn't worry because they have two armies. They have their first army, that is the actual Korean army, very well prepared, well trained, in contact with the Americans, and then they have the second army, is the BTS army. You know who those guys are?
No. Bind, torture, sodomized. No, because BTK was bind, torture, kill. That was the
Bind, torture,
serial
kill.
killer.
Well, BTS is probably the most popular music group in the planet right now, by far. That's BTS Army. They're no, I'm serious.
What is? I'm not even sure. What is K-pop? So it's Korean pop
Okay, so
music.
let's-
So what is
Yes.
it like Backstreet Boys but Korean?
Yeah,
Yes.
quick introductions. Once we quit making good band boys, they took it upon themselves and they started creating all these
Band boys.
yeah, boy bands.
Boy
Yeah,
bands.
boy bands.
I like it better that way. Band
and
boys.
girl bands.
But yeah, they took it upon themselves and they've been pumping out boy bands and girl bands and to like a level.
Who started that? Was it? Do you remember the guy that was on American Idol, William Hung? She moves. Nobody remembers
yeah,
that guy.
yeah, yeah.
Is
What
that-
year was
'cause I
that?
never learned about South Korean music until that guy went on TV and like 20 years ago, and then everybody's like, "Oh, it's so funny when Koreans sing." And now all of a sudden it's a huge.
I
And
know.
then there was
like,
that guy, Psy.
yes,
Yeah.
oh, Gangnam
yeah,
style.
well,
But yeah.
Gangnam is
Gangnam
the most
Style.
wealthy neighborhood in Seoul. So he was making fun or like bringing attention to like the lifestyle of the rich and the famous in Seoul. He was the first South Korean hit that hit globally. Then you have Blackpink, the second
love Blackpink.
K-pop group. that
Never
made-
heard of these people.
What?
Because we're old. But they made it to international fame, and
Okay.
this third guys are probably the most popular group there.
Yeah.
All right.
Easily.
They're called BTS. It's 7 guys. All of them they were bred to be
That's a lot.
perfect.
That's it. You got to split that paycheck 7 ways
Is there
every
like
time
a-
you guys do something.
Or like
Yeah.
a more famous one.
Believe me, they make plenty.
Who's the leader?
They
To
they,
share.
they have a band leader. They have a band leader. All of them have different talents. Like they can all dance, they can all sing. Some of them are like rap heavy, some of them are singing heavy, some of them are more pop. So they make it work. Like I'm not a big fan of the music, but jokes aside, I can tell like there's so much talent there. And you have these fans. Let me give you some numbers. By 2022, there was 500,000 people register as as Army. Okay, Army is the name of the fan base. Okay.
Okay.
This
Like
number-
Swifties for Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Swifty.
Bigger?
Huh?
Bigger than Swifties, would you say?
Way bigger than Swifties. And Army is nasty.
Can
We
they
have to-
get people to vote for Trump in 2024? Right? 'Cause that's a big concern about Taylor Swift. Is she's going to endorse Biden.
I'm getting there. Like I'm telling you, like I could talk shit about Swifties all day, but I wouldn't say a bad word about Army. Like they're known for going after people. Okay, like really going after. If you say something nasty on
Rob.
Twitter,
Looks
well, now I'm
concerned.
scared because I'm like, oh, I made a bunch of Korean jokes. now I'm going to get attacked by the BTS army.
The light is flashing.
they
before
will
his eyes.
do. And why am I bringing Army up? Unlike America, that we're going through a crisis in recruitment, everyone has a mandatory military service that and most of the kids that I went to school with, I went to school with a bunch of Koreans. When they reach 18, 19, they're sent to the Army, no matter what. Some of my friends were like, we're pretty wealthy, and these guys are incredibly wealthy, incredibly famous. Nobody dodges, the mandatory thing.
So they served in the army as well.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like they most of them went in like 2020, 2022, and they have a
COVID.
year of mandatory or 2 years of mandatory service. And yesterday, because there's 7 members, and all 7 now they're doing their military service. And yesterday we had the first member of BTS. His name is Jin, to leave the service. And
Good
if we can
timing.
go to the next one, all 7 members, they asked for a time off the military to go get him. I need sound for this one because that's the funny part. They were live streaming that gate for 8 hours prior.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
ready
Waiting for the guy to come out.
Oh, I
waiting for the guy
bet.
to-
I
How many
bet.
people were on watching?
Yeah, well, yesterday when he finally came out, the guy went live, Jin went live, and not even on YouTube or Twitter. They have their own app. You have to pay to be a member. They have their own app. And in the second he pressed go live, 2 million people
We're already waiting and watching.
were already waiting and watching, and he did a 45-second live stream. So this is absolutely crazy. Those are the BTS members.
Yeah, they all took
What's
a
up with the
day off
masks?
from their military service to go celebrate his last day.
Well, I don't think the mask from my understanding, they've always been something that's been worn prior to COVID
true.
because of the pollution. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's because of the pollution.
Okay.
It's because of privacy. But they've been OG on the mask forever. And yeah, so they broke the internet yesterday. It was trending everywhere on every platform. They did a live stream on it, and I think there's a very valuable lesson here. First of all, communism doesn't work. Second of all, having positive role models like these guys, they get picked when they're super young. They exercise, do dance lessons, do singing lessons, do acting lessons, and once they're at the peak of their career, they're willing to put everything behind and go serve in the army. You know, they don't mess around during this times. Like being that famous and everything, you will think they will be like posting or trying to sneak in an appearance. They're 100% committed. That's why this moment right here was so exciting for the fans. And I think that's something we're missing here in America. We're missing this sense of that the guy that works the most, the guy that does the most sacrifice comes up ahead. And the second thing is serving the country, because these guys, they know that the threat of communism, the threat of the next world war, is right there in the corner. So I don't know. What do you think, Kelly? You're a fan too.
I'm a huge fan. When during COVID, I got the Oculus, and there was a Beat Saber game, and I literally paid an extra $50 to get the BTS package so I could hear their music and do the. It's really fun. I think they're great, and exactly what you said before. They're not better than everybody else. They also serve their military time. They show a lot of these bands. A part of the culture there is just to show so much respect. I think that the thing I admire most about that culture is the sense of responsibility, earning what you have, working hard for it, like you were saying. And that's not something everybody wants to be given everything here. They're entitled to get whatever they have. Or you have that and I should have that too. That's like we were talking about earlier. And that's not the case. And it's so refreshing and so admirable. And I think that's why so many women are obsessed with Korean men, is because at least in social media, they're shown to be working hard, earning what they have, paying their dues, doing responsible things, to have the lives that they have. And I think that's why we're all obsessed.
Do they speak? I'm sorry. When they're singing, are they singing in Korean or are they singing in English?
Both.
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen to some K-pop.
It's like the guy in the Angels who Shohei Ohtani's goes both ways.
But
Not the gay way.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to clarify.
No,
not
he's a
the
pitcher
gay
and a
way.
hitter. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But I actually feel for the first time cultural jealousy.
Right? Me too.
Because, for example, the other day we were talking about Sexy Red, who's one of the #1 artists right now. And
I have no idea who that is.
Me
oh,
neither.
please, you know who she is. I showed it to you.
Well, we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
Before that, I didn't know who
But
it was.
don't. Just don't listen to her. Don't. It's better than you don't know who she is. It's a race to the bottom. It's a race who can be the most of a criminal, the laziest, the most entitled.
It looks like as far as my limited understanding of hip hop, it's if you have a big ass, big boobs, or you mumble, you could be successful. Like that, I don't understand the mumble rap at all. I listened, like my son's friends get in the car. We took him to, there's like an indoor sports place. And I was like, what do you guys want to listen to? And this kid's like, can you put this on? And I put it on. And all it was, and I go, this is, I could do this. I had no idea I was that musically talented.
Rob, let me put it in perspective. Mumble rap is the good old times. Mumble rap is a
it's
thing.
gotten worse than mumble rap?
It's gotten so much like
Disgusting.
mumble rappers. They look like they're reciting Shakespearean sonnets compared to what Sexy Red is doing, because it doesn't even rhyme. It doesn't go on beat. It's nothing.
And it's dirty, right?
Dirty
gross.
doesn't describe it. When we talk about the cervix, she does that and more.
Oh,
Gross.
was that the clip that you played yesterday?
Yes.
Talking about? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It was gross. I would not. Yeah, don't listen to that if you have kids.
Yeah, keep your kids away from it.
So, what do you think causes this? Do you think it's like obviously they're patriotic, they care about their country? Is it, and they're setting good examples? Is it the forced going and serving 1 year in the military? And if that's the case, do you think that like what could make our country, our men in this country, act more like men living in Korea.
It's the culture.
Or nationalism.
They do their 2 years of mandatory service. They act a certain way in public. Just when they were at the Met Gala, whatever it was, they speak English, and there's all these photographers yelling at them, "Hey, turn around!" Or they probably don't understand me, English, whatever. And you could hear the photographers saying that. They are 100% respectful. Don't even acknowledge it. You know, somebody here in America would fight it out, whatever. They just do their pose and they move on in uniform. There is respect, responsibility. They adore their fans, and they give that attention a lot like Taylor Swift does in a way. So it's that whole thing about being a kind person, being a responsible person, being a respectful person. And we don't, I don't feel respect in America. We don't have respect for our flag,
Elders,
our country,
our history,
president,
our
our elders.
monuments.
Yeah, but you know who
the
does?
man and woman next to you. You almost-
Veterans. Every
Veterans.
veteran that I've ever met comes off
Forgotten.
as, first of all, well-spoken, well-groomed, respectful. Like that's why I'm like, I wonder if this forced military service. I know we live in America, the land of freedom and bald eagles and all that. But are we at the point where we need to have some type of forced, military service to start instilling morals and values in people? Because it seems like there's certain demographics of society that have lost that, specifically the youth. When you look at the youth and you look at the people that are listening to the garbage music you're talking about, the people that are listening to that garbage music, they're sometimes end up being garbage people. What could change that?
Well,
Forced military service?
Not even, because even our military screwed up because it's top down, like political people who are running the military and doing all this weird stuff now. Like there's a military recruiting crisis because they're playing with dildos and doing all this gay stuff in the military, which has been like screwing up the culture there. So I think it's all cultural. It's all the things that we're tolerating from education, from media, from Hollywood that's trying to, create these screwed up sensibilities and, allow immigration and dilute our culture. South Korea probably doesn't let their culture get eroded and diluted by immigration, but
They go down. And that's one discussion if we have a minute, because I want him to be the tiebreaker and Kelly to be the tiebreaker, because we're arguing with Brandon. Do you change this by force, or do you change this by culture? Can you change it by culture? Can you change it by force, or is that a little bit of both? I know what you guys think about it. How do we get back in track? Because there's so much material here to be the greatest country and keep being the greatest country.
I think people
Like a
are
Bukele
lazy now.
style?
I think people are lazy. They rely on other, there's this, we've talked about victimhood mentality. There's this whole culture of where people just like to play the victim because it's easier than actually doing something and making change. So I feel like we've become a lazier, weaker, more victimhood mentality society. And I think the only way to change that isn't to let people try and change it. I don't think they think there's anything wrong. I think you need to force them.
I think it's actually culture, because I think the human mind is so quick to rebel against authority, especially the American human mind. So when people hear talk of forcing anything by law, their first instinct is to say, no one can tell me what to do. No one can legislate virtue, basically. No one can force behaviors, as Larry Fink said. I think the way that you have to do it is you make it a competitive game where you say you elevate this one type of person,
Right.
and then everyone else wants to be like that person, so they all compete to be the next version of that person. And it seems like there's
That
a lot
doesn't
of
happen
that.
though, because then everybody just looks at that person and go like Elon Musk. People then just look at Elon Musk and they go, oh, "That guy sucks. He
Well-
fired half of Twitter in one day because he didn't want to pay for extra servers."
well, the media
It
does
has-
You
that
have to have
though.
the media celebrate him. So you need
Yeah.
to take over
Good luck with
the
that.
media institutions that promote him not through force but through accolades and through recognition. So it's not necessarily do nothing. It's take over the cultural institutions and then just persuade people.
I also
Definitely.
think it's a culture thing, because it's not enough to give somebody a rule and make them follow it. They have to understand it. Our culture
Yeah.
needs to change, where we call each other out. You're not being responsible. You're not doing your time. You didn't earn this. You have to earn this. And there's so much value, and it feels so much better when you've worked for something and then you get it. And right now, all we care about is being entitled and being given the things we haven't earned and worked for.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think that when it comes down to force or culture, I think that economy, like don't touch the economy, don't force things at the economy. But there's some things you could be brute force with the law, because I love the result of what Bukele did. But let's not kid ourselves. Like there was a tinge of authoritarianism there. He brute force grabbed 70,000 people off the streets, put them in the jail, and like locked them up. I love that he did that because it was necessary, and we do need some element of that here with the people who are like objectively think it's okay to walk into a store and just take stuff off the shelf and punch the cashier in the face. We need to get ruthless with those people, like when there's clear-cut cases of people committing a crime, because there's so, like, you see videos every day of like criminals laughing, saying that they could just walk in front of a cop and steal something, and then the cop gets in trouble if they try to pursue them. So that's a fixable thing. All the stuff, the indoctrination in colleges that get federal funding, that's a fixable thing. Like stop funding colleges that are teaching all this crazy stuff that are creating our future like leaders or whatever. So education, media, and real crime that we could see right in front of us. Those are things that we could address by brute force.
So you're a mix. So right now we got 2 for culture. I'm all force. You're mixed. What are you?
There's a middle governing body in Korea that people don't look at it, but the management agencies for these guys, they're very wealthy, well put together corporations that have very, very strict rules on behavior, on responsibility, on all those things. And there is their way or their highway. He gets caught doing drugs, out. If he gets cheating on his girlfriend, out.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. And once they're out of those organizations, and the TV plays a big part on it, so I don't know. I'm that's why I'm asking, because I'm really.
So it sounds like you're split between culture and force, like he is. I'm all force. That means force wins. Sorry, culture. All right.